All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with Conversations with Rob. I'm here with Jordan Verdadeiro, originally from Long Branch, New Jersey, and former Lynn University grad, iPulse reporter and anchor also. I've seen many of your videos throughout my Lynn University career. So thanks for being on the program.
Of course.
And also now you're with KFYR, Fox, and also NBC affiliate as a fill-in anchor. So congratulations to that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk. First of all, let me just brag that it is 80 degrees over here. So I know it was sub-zero temperatures the past week, negative numbers. So I just want to rub that in your face a little bit that
Oh, why you have that?
I apologize for that, but I'm sure what I'm saying, it's 80 degrees here in Florida, that somewhere in your heart you do miss Florida and you do wish you were down here for this.
Oh, I miss it a lot. I really do. I miss all my friends and the weather, and just my whole lifestyle's completely changed since I moved here.
I believe that. So later on in the interview, I'm definitely going to touch up on that. But let's talk about growing up in New Jersey, being an East Coast girl. And did you always want to be in media, or did that just come about when you got to college at Lynn?
I always kind of did it. I actually started in the media side of it, like officially when I was in high school. I was actually the anchor in high school, so it was
Okay.
kind of reporting on school news and little things like that. But I was always obsessed with being the talk, like always asking people questions. Wanted to know what was going on. So it started at a really young age. My mom has one picture of me when I was like 4 years old with a microphone in my hand. That's just always what I wanted to do. And I always said I wanted to be on TV. So I'm happy it's starting to finally, get into the tracks, and hopefully I can get to where I want to be soon.
All right, and we'll talk more about that. So, what made you go to Lynn? Was it the Great Communications program at Lynn? I know Stephanie Powers there, and Martin Phillips, Andy Vermees, all that gang down there. Was that kind of the reason why you chose Lynn? Obviously, the great weather of Boca, too, a little bit with the mix in that, but what made you choose Lynn?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go into media when I was in college. When I first started at Lynn, I was in international business
Okay.
major. And then I met Martin Phillips, and I was in a few of his classes just because I was like, let me just take the classes and just see if I still like it. And he was like, this is what you need to do. You're really good at it. You have that natural communicative personality, and you should really pursue it. And I was like, oh, but everyone studies journalism, and it's like you have to really want it in order to actually go forward. So I kind of started switching everything. I started taking all the journalism classes while I was there. Martin Phillips was one of my biggest mentors. Robert Watson
All right.
was always there. Stephanie Powers. And I was always going through like some kind of like weird transitional period when I was there. So I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I was always confused. And I don't know, they always just kind of stuck by me when it came to like the media program, and any opportunity that I had was because of them. Uh, you know, so.
Yeah, Dr. Watson is a legend there. I'll just shout that name out. I love Dr. Watson. He's my man crush. Anyways, but we'll move on to so being at Lynn and like you said, you were in that international business, then you moved over to media and joining the iPulse. What did I know you were big into media in high school and stuff, but working in the iPulse and doing that kind of web-based anchor reporting show and doing that, what did you learn from doing the iPulse?
I learned that it's really different from the real news world. Um, I learned that, but no, I mean, when I was there in the moment and, learning there, it taught me to not be afraid to go up and talk to people, to think outside of the box and
Sure.
try and do stories that maybe, somebody else didn't pitch at the iPulse meeting. So, that is carried with me throughout my career as well. Like in any internship or job that I ever had, like I always tried to take that step and not really be on the same idea wavelength as everyone else. I always tried to kind of go out of my comfort zone, and you have to be, outgoing not be afraid to get turned down. Like today, actually, I was at the Capitol for a legislative bill that I'm reporting on later, and somebody was like, "I'm not commenting on that," and I was just like, "Okay, well, thanks for your help," and I had to go and find somebody else. So you have to be willing to get shut down and just continue to grab your story.
All right, so let's talk about after Lynn. And you did work in Washington, D.C., and you covered pretty much the craziest election of our lifetime in 2016. Can you talk a little bit about that? On the ground, what were people saying? What were they thinking? Being right in that area where the White House is.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It was a really stressful night. So I actually was producing for the night, and I was out with one of the reporters at the White House.
Sure.
And that was super stressful. I was constantly checking the polls on my phone, constantly checking people's comments, watching. I was flipping back from the different news stations, kind of seeing what one side was saying, what the other side was saying. And people, when I was actually there, the people on the ground were freaking out. They're all like, either we want Trump or no, why are we like this should not even be a thing right now. So you got to see the both sides. It was like going to war almost. It was pretty cool.
Right. So let's talk about that. So you have done stuff in TV, obviously, with what you just talked about, working in DC and stuff, and the iPulse kind of somewhat to TV there. Well, you also worked at a newspaper, the Palm Beach Post. Can you talk about what the differences are between working on TV and then working with the newspaper as the Palm Beach Post, and which one is like the harder, more stressful environment to work in?
Well, TV takes a lot more of you because I think it's a lot easier to just kind of go to a story, take a couple pictures, and type it up. To me,
Sure.
that's easier. But everybody's got their niche and what they're good at.
Right.
And as a multimedia journalist, which is what that's my full-time job. I have to carry all my equipment with me. So I have my camera, my microphone, my tripod, and I'm literally in a backpack, like just lugging everything around. And so that's where it becomes like a harder job, but it's also kind of it's an ever-changing industry. So it's like you have to always be ready to, know what's going on and what to expect in the next job. And every place is different. So it just kind of depends what you're good at. Like I could do a little bit of both, but I do prefer TV just because I like people knowing who I am and like what my face looks like.
Sure.
So that's just my opinion.
All right. So, what made you move to North Dakota after living pretty much on the East Coast the whole your whole life, living in New Jersey, living in Florida? What made you make that move to North Dakota? Like that, it's a different, pretty much different side of the country, and also a different media market too than kind of what you've been used to in Florida.
Well, like I mentioned before, this is something that you really want to get. Like it's a job that you're going to want to really have to work hard for.
Sure.
And everybody thinks that it's super easy unless you know somebody and like, you're blessed to have a mom that's an anchor. I don't really know how it
Right.
works out, but like no one in my family was in media. So
Mhm.
I had to go and do this all on my own. And, I made sure to build up my resume as much as I could. I tried to take advantage of all the opportunities that were presented. When I started at the Palm Beach Post, it was actually a class at LYNN.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was first time. And Stephanie Powers worked with one of the reporters and kind of teamed up, and that's just what we did. And then I was like, oh, this will be a door opener for me. And it turns out it kind of was, but it really wasn't at the same time. Like once I graduated, I had applied there and told them I was interning with them, and and they were bought out by a new company, so they had completely different staff. And you have to come to that realization, like I mentioned earlier, it's always going to be changing. Like there's always something that's going to be new, like, and you have to be able to keep up with it. And when I was at the Post, I was so desperate to start working there that I saw a job opening, and it was actually in the sales department. So
Oh, wow.
when I graduated, Lynn, my first job out of college with the Palm Beach Post was selling subscriptions to the newspaper. And
That's a
not
tough job.
not that, but I had to go out because, I mean, you could do it on the phone and stuff like that, but I had to go out and get people in person to sign up. So I would go and stay outside of CVS's, outside of Walmart's, in scolding 90-degree weather in Florida, sweating, okay, selling subscriptions to a newspaper
Yeah.
and convincing people that people still do read the newspaper. So,
Right.
it, that was like when I realized, I was like, is this really what I want to do? And I tried really hard to pull through it. And then I actually ran into the editor, one of the community editor, Jim Coleman, inside of the building, and I was talking to the security guard about me being and he was like, "Wait, you're a reporter, blah, blah." And I like went, grabbed my resume and gave it to him, and he was like, "Oh, this is impressive, like whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, if you ever need anything, let me know. Like, I'll be willing to write up a quick article, go take pictures." And then I became a freelance reporter. So it went from selling subscriptions outside of Walmart's and CVS's to a newspaper to becoming a freelance reporter to still, doing more work and not enough at the same time because I wanted it to be a full-time career, to applying to hundreds of jobs. Like while I was doing all of that, I was still applying all over the country to a bunch of jobs. And I only heard back from a few places.
Right.
I didn't give up. So that's the difference.
Yeah, I know it's a tough job market. So how was the transition, like when you got the job in North Dakota and you're in Florida to move from Palm Beach County to Bismarck, correct? North
Yeah,
Dakota.
it's cold here. I actually drove 30 hours from Boca Raton.
Wow.
Well, actually, it took me 3 days to get here. I drove from Boca Raton all the way to Bismarck, North Dakota. I didn't even have an apartment when I got here. I was still trying to figure out where I was going to live. Yeah.
Jeez.
So the first night I was actually in Bismarck. I stayed in a hotel and kind of did everything. I'm like a last minute planner. I
Okay.
kind of like do everything impromptu and last minute, but
Right.
keeps me on my toes. But yeah, so that's what I kind of did, and the transition was different. I didn't know anyone here,
Yeah.
and I had to make all new friends. But that's the great thing about being in a small market right out of college is that you meet people that are in the same boat as you are.
Right.
There's plenty of people that can relate to me because they came from, out California, New York, Connecticut, like, and it all brings us together to this one job because that's our passion. And I feel like it's kind of like that with like the LYNN community. It's like you get kids from all over the world. You might not know somebody there, but you're gonna make a friend and you're gonna figure it out.
Right. Well, I'm happy the transition's going well. So let's move on to what are your goals that you want to accomplish in media?
I don't like to, this sounds kind of funny, but I try not to have really set a bar too high. I kind of have this idea of I do want to be on TV. I
Right.
want to be known by a lot of people, and I do want to be national. So I try to keep it broad in that way because who knows where I'll be. I don't know
Of
what
course.
I'm going to do, but it's like in the end, it's what you settle for and what you're ready to handle. Like no one will give you something that you're not ready to handle. So
Right.
I trust God, and I'm like, this is what I'm going to be doing for now, and I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to go with it. I'm here for 2 years. Maybe I'll be here for more. Who knows? But right now, it's kind of just living it day by day, learning every day that I'm doing it, and having that end goal of this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to be eventually.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the stories that you've covered. So I did a little research on you. I know you talked about the drone story that I did watch that you did a couple, maybe a week or two ago, some odd, the drone story. What was your favorite story that you have covered in media so far?
Oh my God, that's a really tough question because this is going to sound really bad, but I'm sure other journalists can relate. You're dealing with so much information and so many different stories that
Mhm.
you're almost like blacking out. You publish the story, you get all this information, you remember it, you regurgitate it into the story, and then you just kind of toss it aside and on to the next story. But the one thing that I do like about, I've been covering a lot of politics lately, and the legislative meetings is that you can go and revisit them if they don't pass, in the
Right.
Senate or in the House. And if they don't pass, you can go and kind of see what people's reactions are like and what steps they're taking. So I try to do stuff like that because I don't forget about, my stories. But when there's just so much information, you don't remember specifics. So it's like
Okay.
the bills are great because you get to revisit them and kind of just hear people's opinions and what their plans are, for the next time it
Yeah.
runs at the Capitol.
All right, fair enough. What about and this is kind of the same thing. Hopefully, you got an answer for this one. What is the craziest story that you covered? I know we talked about the 2016 election. Would that be the craziest, or do you have another story that you're like, whoa, this is
I think the craziest story I ever covered was the red tide in Palm Beach County. So I
okay?
was put onto that, and that's something that I'll like remember because I saw it firsthand. And um, no one really thought that it was really a thing until they actually went on the beach.
Right.
Actually, I don't know if you're familiar, but red
Oh
tide is.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
still
So yeah,
going on. It's still going on. So
what's going on? So sad to hear. It's climate change. But yeah, so
yeah.
when I got on the beach and smelt it, my eyes were burning and saw the dead fish. Like, you experience things like that firsthand and it really makes you think. And I think that's the beauty also of being a journalist is you get to see all the different sides and you get to put it into perspective, whereas other people are just watching it or reading it and they don't really know. But that's when it's our job to go in and kind of fill in those gaps and try to be as communicative as possible to, relay what that message is.
All right. So a couple more questions, and this is the last real question. Then we're gonna have some quick one-word questions.
Okay.
What advice would you give high school students or college students that want to get into media?
Um, really want it. I didn't really know what I wanted, but I knew I wanted to be on TV. So if you kind of have like an idea of what you're doing or what you want to do, then go bold and forward with it. Just go and be aggressive and try to be the best you can. Try to learn as much as you can. Do less talking, more listening, because that helped me a lot. I'm a super vocal person. I love to talk, but you have to know when it's important to stop talking, just listen, and just be passionate.
All right. Favorite color?
Rainbow. I love every color.
Wow, very neutral answer. Okay. Favorite song or artist?
Favorite song? That's tough. I've been listening to a lot of country since I moved to North Dakota.
Okay.
Favorite song? I don't know.
Artist. How about artist if you don't want to do a song?
I listen to so much music. You can look at my Spotify. It's like ridiculous. I listen to everything. Um, I don't know. Let's just toss a random one out there. Um,
Oh man, this is a struggle.
Migos.
Okay, fair enough. Random one, okay.
So,
Favorite media personality or personalities, whichever one.
um, Jimmy Fallon.
Okay. All right, fun fact about you that maybe people don't know about you.
I am Portuguese and Chilean, and I speak Portuguese and Spanish fluently.
Oh, nice, nice. I'm Portuguese and Italian, so
Oh, wow, that's
mix.
cool. Very
And the last song, I mean the last story was we covered this already. So I guess that is the last question I got. I want to appreciate you and, for coming on, Jordan. Thank you
yeah,
so much. I know you're sick and I know you got to work tonight, so
thank
hope you feel better.
you. And make sure you guys tune in to kfyrtv.com and watch my live stream.
Yeah, and how can we follow you, by the way, on besides that?
Yeah, so I actually have a professional Instagram, and it's Jordan KFYRTV, and then my Twitter is Jordy Bird, JORDYYVERD.
All right.
I have a Facebook page too.
All
And that's Jordan Verdadeiro, KFYRTV.
right, awesome. And thank you for coming on, Jordan.
Yeah.
Definitely put that on. We're going to throw this up on my Facebook, your Facebook, and hopefully
Awesome.
everybody enjoys it.
Okay, great. Thank you
All
so much.
right.